Hi friends, I'm Uma Shankar Pandey and this is the Dr. USP channel. Learning objectives describe what a faculty member, an institution or a program intends to do in a course. While learning outcomes are measurable skills, attitudes, knowledge and values that a student is able to demonstrate after completing a course, a unit or a program. The undergraduate curriculum framework talks of 16 different graduate attributes. These are the program outcomes required for every student who completes the 4-year graduation program. While every discipline can decide on its own program specific objectives and course objectives. Course outcomes can be designed using the well-known Bloom's taxonomy. Let us see how to design course objectives and outcomes NEP 2023 in this video.
The outcome-based education paradigm clearly articulates what students are expected to know and able to do at the end of the academic programs. The program educational objectives are decided by individual institutions based on their mission and vision. The program outcomes are the generic outcomes for all students. The program specific outcomes can be decided at the institution or the university level, while the course outcomes are also decided at the university level for each paper which we know is a course. The National Higher Education Qualifications Framework envisages that students must possess the quality and characteristics of the graduate of a program of study, including learning outcomes relating to the disciplinary areas in the chosen fields of learning and generic learning outcomes that are expected to be acquired by a graduate on completion of the program of study. Designing course outcomes has a number of advantages. Students know in advance what is expected of them. It helps design teaching strategies. It provides a basis for what to assess and how to assess. It provides consistency across the program. It helps one align with the institutional goals. It helps meet the accreditation requirements like NEP, for example. It provides regular review and improvement options, and it helps students select relevant courses. Program educational objectives are a promise to the aspiring students about what they will achieve once they join the program. The program outcomes are the graduate attributes in our case. A program learning outcome is broad in scope. Program specific outcomes are statements that describe what the graduates of a specific discipline should be able to do. The course outcomes should clearly state what students will do or produce to determine and to demonstrate their learning. These are the graduate attributes. The complex problem solving has 1 item, critical thinking has 4 subsections, creativity has 6, communication skills has 4 subsections, analytical reasoning and thinking has 3, research related skills has 7 subsections, collaborating with others is 3, leadership readiness or qualities has 3 subsections. These are the graduate attributes suggested by the UGC curriculum framework. Let's see the other 8. Learning how to skills has 4 subsections, digital and technological skills has 2 subsections, multicultural competence and inclusive spirit has 4, value inculcation has 7 subsections, autonomy, responsibility and accountability is another graduate attribute with 3 subsections, environmental awareness and action has 2 subsections, community engagement and service 1 and empathy 1. The SMART paradigm is often used to design course outcomes. The outcome needs to be specific. Learning outcomes should be clear and direct, leaving no ambiguity. It should be measurable, meaning each learning outcome should be quantifiable or observable. It must be assignable. It should be within the learner's reach. It must be relevant. The learning outcomes should be relevant to the overall goals and objectives, and the learning outcomes should be achievable within a time frame. This is the well-known Bloom's taxonomy. At the base is remember. The second cognitive skill is understand. This is followed by apply. Then we have analyze, evaluate, and create. So this is a classification of the different outcomes and skills that educators set for their students. The first of these is remember. The student is supposed to exhibit memory of previously learned lessons by recalling facts. These are the action verbs related to remember: choose, define, find, label, list, match, name, omit, recall, relate, select, show, spell, tell, what, when, where, which, who, why, and how. Then we have understand, where the student is able to demonstrate understanding of facts and ideas by organizing, comparing, etc. These are the action verbs related to understand: classify, compare, contrast, demonstrate, explain, extend, illustrate, infer, interpret, outline, relate, rephrase, show, summarize, and translate. Then we have apply on the taxonomy. This is about students solving problems to new situations by applying acquired knowledge, skills, etc. And the action verbs related to apply are apply, build, choose, construct, develop, experiment with, identify, make use of, model, organize, plan, select, solve, utilize, interview. The next on the scale is analyze, where the student is supposed to make inferences, find evidence, identify motives or causes, examine and break information into parts. The action verbs in this section are analyze, assume, categorize, classify, compare, conclusion, contrast, discover, dissect, distinguish, divide, examine, function, inference, inspect, list, relationships, simplify, survey, take part in, test for, theme. In evaluate, the student is expected to present and defend opinions by making judgments. It includes agree, appraise, assess, award, choose, compare, conclude, criteria, criticize, decide, deduct, defend, determine, disprove, estimate, evaluate, explain, importance, influence, interpret, judge, justify, mark, measure, opinion, perceive, prioritize, prove, rate, recommend, rule on, select, support, and value. In create, the student is supposed to propose alternate solutions or compile information in a different way. The action verbs are adapt, build, change, choose, combine, compile, compose, construct, create, delete, design, develop, discuss, elaborate, estimate, formulate, happen, imagine, improve, invent, make up, maximize, minimize, modify, original, originate, plan, predict, propose, solution, solve, suppose, test, theory. These are the steps. The first step in designing learning outcomes is identifying the overall goals of the course. What overarching knowledge or skills do you want your students to have by the end of the course? The second step is to align with Bloom's taxonomy. Decide which level of cognitive skills in Bloom's taxonomy aligns with your course goals. For introductory courses, you might focus on the remember and understand levels, while advanced courses may emphasize analyze, evaluate, and create. In steps 3 and 4, we first select the appropriate action verbs. Choose the appropriate action verbs from the list discussed earlier for each level of learning you want to target. And then you start writing learning outcomes. Construct your learning outcomes beginning each with an action verb followed by the content or concept that the students are expected to master. Here is an example from the field of psychology. Remember, list the primary schools of thought in psychology. Understand, Explain the basic principles of cognitive behavioral therapy. Apply. Demonstrate how to use active listening techniques in a counseling session. Analyze. Compare and contrast Freudian and Jungian theories of the unconscious mind. Evaluate. Critique a peer-reviewed article on the efficacy of mindfulness-based cognitive therapy. Create a research study exploring the impact of stress on memory. The next step is review and align. Ensure that your teaching strategies and assessments align with your learning outcomes. Each outcome should be taught and assessed at some point during the course. Review your learning outcomes to ensure they are clear, concise, and accurately reflect the desired level of learning. If necessary, refine them for clarity and focus. Here's an example of designing course outcomes in the field of sociology. The first one is remember, identify and define key sociological concepts and theories. The second is understand, explain the sociological perspective and how it differs from other social sciences. Summarize the historical developments of sociology as a discipline. Apply. Apply sociological theories to explain social phenomena in the context of modern society. Apply. Demonstrate the use of sociological terminology in the analysis of social issues. Analyze. Compare and contrast different sociological theories, for example, functionalism, conflict theory, symbolic interactionism, in the context of their applications to modern societies. Analyze. Differentiate between the major methods of sociological research, surveys, interviews, participant observation, etc., and their appropriate uses. Evaluate. Critique sociological arguments and evaluate them based on empirical evidence. Assess the impact of major social changes on modern society using sociological theories. Create. Design a basic sociological research project on a contemporary social issue, formulating a research question, deciding a research method, and proposing ways of analysis. These learning outcomes cover a range of cognitive and affective skills and give students a good understanding of what they're expected to know and be able to do by the end of the course. The first is matrix mapping. This is the most common method for mapping course outcomes and program outcomes. It involves creating a matrix where the rows represent the COs. Each cell in the matrix indicates whether and to what extent a particular course outcome contributes to program outcome. Narrative mapping. A narrative description is used to explain how each course outcome contributes to each program outcome. In curriculum mapping, it involves creating a visual representation or map of the entire curriculum, showing how all the different components, including individual course outcomes, contribute to the program outcomes. This can be helpful for identifying gaps or redundancies in the curriculum. Outcomes articulation involves explicitly stating for each program outcome which course outcomes contribute to that outcome and how. This can be useful for clearly communicating the connection between the course outcomes and program outcomes. These are the discipline-specific outcomes or PSOs suggested by the undergraduate curriculum framework. The first is a comprehensive knowledge and coherent understanding of the chosen areas of study in a broad multidisciplinary context. Secondly, practical, professional and procedural knowledge, including knowledge required for undertaking self-employment initiatives. Thirdly, skills in areas related to specialization in the chosen area of learning, including wide-ranging practical skills. And finally, capacity to extrapolate from what has been learned, translate concepts to real-life situations, and apply in new, unfamiliar contexts.
Thanks for staying along, friends. As always, it was a delight having you here. I'll be back with another explainer video very soon. Till then, have a great time.